show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brand John never wants to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
John, do you remember how to do this now?
Do it. Well, it's only been 2 days, right?
Yeah, well, you get out of practice. You know how that is. You got to practice every day. I'm starting off right now with an unfortunate situation where I've got a computer issue, and I'm going to have to dump the computer, and hopefully it'll come back by the time we do a break. Otherwise, I'll be talking nonstop for the next, 52 minutes or something, or 58 minutes. Okay.
Well, don't you have a floppy disk that you can put in there, Brad?
Do you know what's funny about that is? I read this story, and I forgot to put it on my list of things to talk about, but one of the transit systems in one of the major cities talked about the fact that they had this urgent need to redo their computer system because they were still using floppy disks. Can you imagine that? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, no, hold on a minute now. How come somebody couldn't take that floppy disk and just dump the files onto the hard drive? But no, they were still using floppy disks. And that's what, and for those younger listeners out there going, what's he talking about? When the IBM PCs first came out, and I think even the Macs used this, it was, what was it, 5.5 inch? It was like construction paper.
They were pretty big, yeah.
It was construction paper, like kind of material, and it had a round magnetic disc that you would put into, you'd hit a button, or no, you'd actually open up like a latch, and you'd put the disc in. And then the big invention came along when they went to the 3.5s, which were like the little plastic cartridges that you put in your computer, and now we've got thumb drives, and back in the day those floppy disks, like 320K or something like that. Now you can go down to Micro Center, and even some of the smaller thumb drives, like the 8 gigabytes, you can't even buy them anymore. They don't even make them anymore. You got to buy like a 16 or a 32. God, am I sounding like an old guy or what?
No, but this controversy reminds us of Lifetime Fitness, because that one guy went to the desk and said, "Hey, can you transit?"
What? Hey, by the way,
they sent him to the women's locker room, Brad.
I'm going to ask you a question. Is that on your top 3 this morning?
I don't know, Brad. I guess you're just going to have to listen.
Well, no. The reason I ask is if it's not, can we talk about it now, or
let's talk? You know what? As a spoiler, Brad, it ranks in the top 3.
Okay, so we won't do that. We'll wait for John. Okay, because there was what was it? Justin Sparks. That's
correct. Yeah, we'll be talking about that in the top 3.
Okay, that's John Combest, Combest. The reason I spell it is because you need the correct spelling to go onto his website, johncombest.com. Go check it out. He's got like 20, 30, 40 different things on there every single day for the past 22 years. He never misses a day. We start up the show with this guy right here.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And what he does is...
Now on with the countdown.
We have the countdown, and we start off with...
In third place...
a story involving a former state legislator. Not a current one, but a former one, Brad. A gentleman named Michael Butler, who, if his name sounds familiar, not only was Michael Butler formerly a state representative, he was also formerly the leader of the Missouri Democratic Party. And he is currently the recorder of deeds in the city of St. Louis. Brad, over the weekend, he announced that he is challenging Tashara Jones to be mayor of the city of St. Louis. He is the third announced candidate. Also, Kara Spencer, an alderwoman from the city, is also challenging Mayor Jones in the Democratic primary. Now, that primary is not till March 4th. And then the general election, whoever wins that March 4th Democratic primary will go on to become mayor. Formally, the official general election would be April 8th. But now, Brad, we have 3 really strong candidates taking on or running for mayor. 2 very strong candidates, I should say, taking on the incumbent Mayor Tashara Jones. So I was surprised by this. Again, I don't follow St. Louis city politics as closely as most people, but Michael Butler is a heck of a candidate, a heck of a personality. And I think he's going to take a lot of votes that you would assume would go to Tashara Jones. I think they'll go Michael Butler's way.
Now, the Muni election is April of 2025, correct?
That's correct, yep.
So we've got, roughly 9 months, 8 months, something like that to go?
Yeah, now the real election, the primary election is in March because there's no the Republican candidate will not, if there is a Republican candidate for mayor, it would be a formality. It would be like running for U.S. Senate or governor in the state of Missouri as a Democrat.
Got it. Okay. Is that number 3?
That's number 3.
And number 2 is?
Up a notch to number 2.
Brad, you referenced it just 2 minutes ago. State Representative Justin Sparks held a press conference at the corner of Clayton and Clarkson Road at Lifetime Fitness. Now, we talked about this on Friday morning, Brad. We talked about the issue of this gentleman wanting to use the women's locker room at Lifetime Fitness and the discomfort it has caused some female members of the gym and some females who happen to use that locker room. Of course, the catch is here, Brad, that this gentleman has a state identification card issued, of course, by the state that says that he is, in fact, a woman. So Attorney General Andrew Bailey has entered the fray. He says he's going to look into how the state managed to give an identification card to a man that allows the man to claim that he is a woman. But as we expected, Brad, we saw a big hubbub on Friday. A lot of people, I think what I saw from media reports is that over 100 people attended this press conference. As you can imagine, it was raucous. There was an angry woman blowing a whistle right behind Representative Justin Sparks and other conservatives who were there. And it was quite a scene. And so today, there was some coverage over the weekend. I have stories about it up on my website on Saturday morning. And then today I have a piece that I believe KMOV posted yesterday. So I have a link to their television coverage. They do the usual progressive TV thing. They refer to this man as a trans woman multiple times. The lead-in says that conservatives are targeting the trans community. So it's a dramatic, sympathy play, and conservatives are the bad guys, and trans people are the open-minded, loving folks. But check it out. And again, Brett, a continuation of what we said on Friday.
Okay, and last but not least,
the number 1.
It's that time of year, Brad, when actually days like today are the slowest days for my website, immediately before a primary, because most news outlets don't publish any hard-hitting material immediately before the election, and the fears that they're going to be accused of trying to tamper with an election or fall for a last-minute attack. But what we do have a number of over the weekend are election previews, and a couple I would point to. The number 1 link on my website today is Jason Rosenbaum. He does a thing before elections where he asks a series of questions and kind of things to watch and things to look for. And then after the given election, he'll recap what the answers were. I'd also point people to an election preview that Scott Fawn did for This Week in Missouri Politics. He had Joe Manis from the Post-Dispatch, Mike Mahoney. He also had our friend Stephanie Bell of legal fame from Ellinger Bell in Jefferson City on to discuss their predictions for the elections, what surprised them, where they think the elections are going to go. And I would also point out, too, one more time, Brad, that tomorrow night, This Week in Missouri Politics will do its first ever election night special. So you can follow Scott Fawn or This Week in Missouri Politics on any social media at 8 p.m. It's going to be a heck of a special, Brad, going live from Jefferson City. Tune in.
And I've lost track because as you're talking, I'm trying to fix the computer and it's not going well.
That was our number 1 story.
That was the number 1 story. Okay, hold on a minute. Just let me see if I got it.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I could talk a little bit about it for folks who want to watch the election preview. This is the first time that Scott has pulled together a live election night show. You can watch every once in a while. You'll see on election night TV stations in the St. Louis area, I know, might scroll some election results down on the bottom and occasionally even run in with some national news if there's something of import happening nationally. But as far as I know, Brad, this will be the first statewide election show.
So you're going down to Jefferson City, tomorrow afternoon then? I
will be in Jefferson City at some point in the next 48 hours, Brad. You're right. I don't like to really tell people when I'm setting the security alarm at my house. But yeah, I'll be in Jefferson City tomorrow night,
Well,
Brad.
I thought it was because of the fact that you didn't want to clue anybody off to the detail that will be driving down I-70 with the 2 armored Humvees in front, and then your armored limousine in the middle, and then another armored Humvee in back, plus the State Highway Patrol in front and back. That's why you didn't want to draw attention to the fact
Actually, Brad, I don't have to do that anymore because I've looked into the folks who have been, quote, targeting me. And, all their signals are geofenced. So once I get past Wentzville, because it's geofenced, it doesn't travel any further.
Here we go. Okay.
It's a real thing.
Can I go back to, because I didn't want to steal your thunder, and that turned out to be part of your thunder. Let me go back to the number 2 story, the Justin Sparks thing. Okay, so you mentioned there was a lady blowing a whistle behind Justin Sparks. I would imagine.
Yeah, that's right. That's very mature.
She was against Justin Sparks. Is that the assumption?
Correct. Yeah, she was trying to disturb and annoy and I think really show the maturity of folks who want a man in a dress in a locker room. Right?
Did you see the video of this happening, or did you just read the report?
I did, yeah.
Okay, was it obnoxious enough that he couldn't really talk?
No, he barreled through.
So she's literally, you can see her on camera right behind him, like blowing the whistle.
Yeah.
And it's like a referee kind of whistle, kind of, one of those.
Yeah, it's a loud one. And then the Channel 4 story that I have up today, if you go to my website today, the Channel 4 story shows her a little bit off to the side.
Yeah.
And our dear friend Greg Keller posted a picture from Saturday's news coverage. I guess the stuff that I posted on Saturday. And Greg showed a screenshot of former state representative David Gregory is standing there. He attended the press conference as well. He's running for state senate. And this woman is blowing the whistle like right in David Gregory's ear, and David's just laughing. And our friend Greg Keller said something to the effect of, choose a side. Like, would you rather have one of them, an angry little troll who's blowing a whistle and will probably hurry home to feed her cats? There is a Petco nearby, by the way, and she could also pick up some boxed wine and antidepressants. Or would you rather have David Gregory? So just pick your side,
John's trying to go for that grand slam. He's not just trying to throw one insult. He's trying to throw 3 or 4 at the same time.
What kind of shoes do you think she had on, Brad? Do you think she had some good-looking pumps on?
I don't think so. I think she had Birkenstocks on. Am I correct? Well,
I'm not going to look at a woman like that's feet. I'm not going to travel far below the neckline, Brad.
Okay, here's the irony of that situation for me. Someone who is essentially to a certain extent violating someone else's freedom of speech. But yet, if she got up there and spoke, and some guy brought in a train horn, and I don't know if you see these in that, you can buy these now where it's a train horn that runs on a little portable compressor. So you can literally have like the sound level and quality of a train horn, and they're not small. Obviously, you have to have a battery pack and all that kind of stuff. But it puts out like 120, 125 dB. To the point where if you put it close enough to your ear, it would do damage to your hearing. Okay.
Ooh, yeah.
So let's say someone stood next to her with a train horn aimed at her ears, and she go, "Stop that! You're bothering me!" Right? Wouldn't that what she?
But you also try to have a little bit, as I get older, Brad, I try to have a little bit of empathy. It's hard for me to even say the word empathy, but imagine being in your late 50s or in your 60s, and maybe you can relate to this, Brad, and then thinking, the one thing I want to do today is ruin somebody's event by blowing a whistle in their ear. Well, and then going home and looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? I think I did a good job. It's nighttime, Brad. You're doing your skincare ritual. You're putting your Oil of Olay on. She took off her maiden forms, her plain beige maiden forms, and put her Oil of Olay on and said, you know what? I did my work. I blew a whistle in a man's ear.
John paints the picture with all the brand names, and that's because of the fact that he's getting affiliate money from all the different things he says. So when you
goes through Egbert, and he takes 80%, Brad.
Right.
It's
so
ridiculous.
when you go to maidenform.com, John gets a percentage of whatever you buy on maidenform.com. Okay, but here, let me hammer this point one little bit further. Okay. I guess the thing that probably bothers me the most is whoever this dude or dudette, whatever you want to call it, I don't know if is it a pronoun that you can use? I mean, is that an insulting if someone is an it? Isn't that a pronoun? It is a pronoun, correct?
I think it would be a pronoun. Yeah. I think if you don't identify as human, especially.
Okay, so this person, it, what they're doing is they're essentially saying my rights are more important than your rights. And I'm going to show you how important my rights are because I'm a dude and I'm going to prance around naked in the women's locker room at a gym. And you know what? My rights supersede your rights because you don't have the right to keep me out because my driver's license says I'm a woman. And see, to me, I'm going to put on my Pastor Brad, collar right now. This is like tremendously self-centered and tremendously ungodly. Would that be too bad to say something like that?
No, I think that's fair, Brad. And we've talked about this before, solipsism, Brad. And I'm going to spell it correctly this time so that Camelia Peterson doesn't correct me. SOLIPI, solipsism. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong on the spelling of that. But it's the idea, Brad, that everything revolves around you. So, Brad, to your point, if you're this man, you say nobody else's rights actually matter. A woman bringing even just herself. Let's not even include kids in this. A woman walking into a locker room does not have the right to have her own female space. No, I'm going to bring my male genitalia in, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do in this locker room because it's all about me, Brad.
Well, and see, that's what I find, I guess, there's an interesting thing that you know who Gary V is, Gary Vaynerchuk, however you pronounce his last name. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, we've talked about him many times on the show.
Okay, couple years ago, he came out with this revelation, and maybe it was sort of soul searching or self-realization. I dropped my pen again. I keep dropping my pen this morning. Is there some kind of disease? Can you look up in your book there what disease you have if you keep dropping your pen? I do,
and it's ironic. You have Brad Hildebrand disease.
Oh my God! And by the way, you never completed spelling solipsism. Can we have that?
No, it's pronounced solipsism.
But you never finished it. You did the beginning of it, but you never finished.
SOLIPSISM, solipsism. It's believing that the world revolves around you. Now, Brad, before you got your bout of Brad Hildebrand disease, you were saying?
I can't remember.
Gary V quote. We talk about Gary V every week.
He talked about one of the most important things you can be is to be kind. And to the point where what's so interesting about this is sometimes it's the little crazy, stupid things that you do for somebody who you don't even know. You know what I mean? I mean, just the kind of thing that, like, when I'm going to the QT and there's a person way out in the parking lot, but they're heading toward the door, I'll stand there for a couple more seconds and hold that door open. And not to pat myself on the back, but it's been done for me. It was done for me the other day. And as I walked in, I said to the person, "Thank you so much." And they say, "You're more than welcome." Okay, little tiny thing that person could have just let that door close behind them, and I would have to push the door open again. But you multiply that on your daily basis, and why can't you just spread positivity and good things in the world? Why do you have to create havoc? And then when you've already created havoc and some people will say, well, that Justin Sparks, he's just jumping on the thing. He's just jumping on the fact that he's got publicity before. And is he running for re-election, by the way?
He is.
Okay, so he's trying to get reelected. He's got a press conference. He's going to be on all the TV stations, and he's going to get all that earned media because of the fact that he's not paying for that TV time. And so somebody could say, okay, Justin Sparks is a bad guy, and then somebody else could say, well, Justin Sparks is a good guy, but the lady blowing the whistle is the bad person. But yet she's going to say, well, I don't want that terrible Justin Sparks to say things because that offends me, and it offends people like me. Who's right and who's wrong?
Yeah. Well, that woman is clearly offended on behalf of other people, which is one of my favorite modern fallacies. Of not like she's not actually offended by it, but she's offended on behalf of other people who she thinks should be offended, you know?
Let me diagram that.
So that's where we are, Brad. And also, to answer your question, I think there's a lot of people who think there's no need to do a good deed unless you could document it on your Instagram. Why, like, how many people do you know, Brad? And let's not stereotype by gender, but how many people couldn't go on a hiking vacation without posting flattering selfies and being like, look at me, I'm hiking. Look at me, I'm at a pool, I'm arching my back. Why can't people go on vacation without documenting how terrific their vacation is?
Are you talking about Ina Linville? You know who Ina Linville is?
I don't know.
Ina Linville, I went to high school with her, and I had a crush on her. And she was like super smart. I was always really dumb. That's why she wouldn't have anything to do with me. And she went on to get her bachelor's, her master's, and her PhD. And if you go on her Facebook page, she's not on Instagram. At least I don't know if I see her on Facebook all the time. She only posts 46 times a day, and she shows you that her and her husband are at mile marker 26 on the Katy Trail, and how this is their backyard garden, and this is their meal they're eating tonight, and here's the gazebo they're building in their backyard, and you know, I'm like, okay, come on, give it a rest.
In 2024, she could put that on a text thread to her friends, and if it was instructional, like here's how to build a gazebo in 90 seconds, it would be helpful. Otherwise, it's performative, and it's look at the life I'm living. Can you believe I'm hiking in the Great West? Can you believe I'm arching my back at the side of a pool? Yes, I can. Do you want a pat on the head? Do you want random men to tell you you're beautiful? The answer is yes, but I'm not going to be one of them.
That's John. He's heartless. You can tell it in his voice. Okay.
How could you be so heartless?
We have to take a break.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?